Welcome to this Motivation with Marissa special. I'm Marissa Mitchell, and I'm so grateful to bring you a look back at the first year of this series. I really cannot believe that it's been a year, because when I set out to do this, it was important to me that I spent more time with you, learned how you overcome, and managed to inspire along the way. And so many of you embraced that mission right from the start. I've spoken with cancer survivors and entrepreneurs, to those who have dealt with abuse and poverty. We also gained insight from artists and officials, including DC Police Chief Pamela Smith. She invited me to do a live Motivation with Marissa at MPD's annual Women's Conference. There, she shared with me her humble beginnings in foster care and mending fences with her mother.
In climbing the ranks, who were your mentors? Who gave you the oomph to keep going and to go higher?
To be honest, it was God. And I say that with humility, because I didn't have a lot of good role models. I didn't have a lot of good people that I could look up to. It was the people at the church, really, that kind of steered me in the right direction and kept me balanced. And I say that because, and I'll never say anything negative about my mother. I'll tell you this true story, but I love my mother with everything that I have inside of me. My mother was a young girl, married at 16, and she had 3 children by the time she was 21 and was divorced by 22. So she really didn't have the skill set and the understanding of how to raise kids, and so ended up in a space of substance abuse, and then we ended up in foster care. And so I didn't have a lot of good role models and people that I could just look up to. I was, again, an introvert, scared. And then there came that moment where the city of Pine Bluff removed us from our home and placed us in foster care because of some things that was happening in our home. And for many years, I was angry with my mom. I was angry with her because I couldn't understand how you could allow, because we were good kids. My siblings, we pretty good. We're not bad kids now. We're good, all of us. We don't drink, we don't smoke. And that don't mean you're not good because you drink and smoke.
But we listen, we don't judge, yes.
That part. But we were obedient. And if a mother told us to do something, we did it. If she told us we couldn't do something, we didn't do it. If she told us we couldn't go someplace, we didn't go. We were never disrespectful. And it took me until I was 30 years old to really forgive her, because I had to have an understanding of, I had to really understand what was she going through at that time, what resources was available for her. She had no family support system. She was trying to raise 3 kids on her own, and the only thing she knew how to do was to turn to the bottle. And that was her coping mechanism. And I had to learn that. And I thank God that he gave me 30 years to get it right. And then last year, 2 years ago, my mother passed away unexpectedly.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And it was the worst time of my life. It was devastating. And even now, it feels like I can't, and I feel guilty sometimes about the years that I spent being angry with her. But I thank God and I go back to God because he gave us time.
Chief Smith also honored the men and women in uniform who serve our community. She added they've also stood in the gap for her following a recent health scare.
I sat outside your house all night. Just in case you needed me. Just in case you needed to go back to the hospital. I didn't want to be far away from you. But I tell you, goodwill, when you're good to people, goodness comes back to you.
We also honored mothers. I sat down with soap star legend and producer Victoria Rowell to talk about her memoir, The Women Who Raised Me. She had this message for moms. And I love the title, the women who raised me. I was at an event just the other day with former First Lady Michelle Obama. She was moderating a panel with Tina Knowles, Beyonce Solange's mother, of course, on her new book, Matriarch. And they were talking about how even if you have a nuclear family, you always need bonus moms, bonus dads. We can't do this life alone, right? And it brought me back to your book, too, that you have created a village, right? Yes. So we are in this Mother's Day weekend, and there are many women who only feel appreciated and recognized on Mother's Day. And, you know, and they have it a hard time. What are your words of encouragement to women who are mothering, whether they're mothering their biological children or it's a different setup, to kind of encourage them to keep doing what they do?
Wow. Well, I'm a mother of 2 grown children, Maya and Jasper, who I'm so very proud of. I raised them pretty much by myself. And I was working 2 jobs. I was working on Young and the Restless and Diagnosis Murder and doing films in between, commercials, and running a charity for foster youth. We are multitaskers, women, and we have to have the persona of having it all together all the time and lead with grace. It is hard being a mother. It is hard being a mother that is also a working mother. It is hard to show up at the soccer games, the basketball games, to be there for your teacher conferences, to be on the job fully. And so my advice is you have to take a breath. You have to understand the power of the word no. You have to be unpopular sometimes to take care of you. It's very important to surround yourself with your friends. There are professional friends. You have to understand this. There are professional friends, and there are your childhood friends. There are your college friends, if you have them. You have to understand where the balance of those powers lie. You can't expect one friend to lift you in times of challenges. That's why you have a bouquet of friends, I call it.
Ah, I love that, a bouquet of friends.
Bouquet of friends. So you're not going to put everything on Patty. You're not going to put everything on Laura. You're not going to put everything on Scott. You're not going to put everything on Cheryl. You're going to reach out and have the therapeutic tools as well, the professional therapeutic tools. You can't expect your dentist to be your heart surgeon, God forbid. So be clear on that. And I also want to say, friendship, motherhood, the sustainability of motherhood needs to be reciprocal. You can't keep asking, and this goes for the men too, raising children, because it's their day too, that are in single parent families. But you cannot reach and grab and need over and over. You have to give back to that bounty that gives back to you. So that is my advice to my mothers, my fellow mothers, my mothers to be, and the mothers that are the aunties and the teachers, because teachers are no longer just teachers. Teachers are therapists, teachers are PD, teachers are mothers and fathers, so shout out to our teachers out there.
Welcome back to Motivation with Marissa, the first anniversary special. My in-depth conversations have been shared locally and nationally, including moments from Carol's Daughter founder, Lisa Price. In an exclusive, she talked about buying back her hair care company after selling it a decade ago to L'Oreal. Price said it took self-reflection and a months-long sabbatical to reclaim her roots.
It was great, but I just left 2 weeks ago. So I am an owner of my company again, but it was an amazing 10 years to take the brand to different levels that would have been so much harder independently, to learn more about the science of what I've done. Like I'm kind of like that person that cooks really great stuff in the kitchen, but she can't tell you what her recipe is. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And you got to put a little lemon juice on it. But why? It just tastes better that way. I instinctively blended the things that I blended and made what I made, but I didn't understand the science of it. And working within L'Oreal, I started to understand the molecular structure, why this oil is better than that oil. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I used it. I'm so glad I knew somehow that that's what it was supposed to be. But it's great to be able to explain why it works.
And to buy it back, what's your message to other business owners who have either faced the similar fate or want to do the same?
Everybody's story is their individual story, and it doesn't have a formulaic beginning, middle, or end because it's your story. So allow it to write itself, and allow yourself to be the author of your story. You're living it, reading it, and writing it all at the same time. And it doesn't have to end just because that looked like, oh, that's a great ending. Oh, she got acquired by the biggest beauty company in the world. End of story. Nope. New chapter. New book. I'm not retiring, clearly. So you might be just getting started. And there's also a renewed interest for me in the fact that 2024 was my year of these are my boundaries, and they're nailed in. I'm not moving them. And I reaped a lot of benefits from doing that, even though it was scary to do it and hard to do it. And so I'm motivated by my own discipline and what I see it bringing me. So just to continue that.
A woman told me the other day, and I don't know where she heard it, but I thought it was genius too, and you reminded me of it. Slow is the new fast, and that sometimes we have to create boundaries and clear the way to gain the clarity to know what's next.
And sometimes we have to walk away from everything. In 2023, I decided to take a break from work, and I really took the break, because I've done that before, but then I emailed and I texted and send me the pictures from the shoot and what's the copy looking like, but oh no, I'm not really working. I just it's just some emails on my phone. And this time I checked out. I was like, I'm gone. I'll see you in 5 months.
I'm curious to know, because I feel like you did kind of start the trend of that, particularly in Black hair care. That's just the way I see it. Is there a sisterhood among women like yourself who have really stepped out in that space with the all natural organic ingredients in hair care?
I know that I have a tremendous amount of respect for other people that are in this space with me. And I believe that, from what I've seen, that they have respect for me. It's interesting because when you're in business, you have to look at the landscape as your competition. Who's out there coming for your share of the pie. And it's very, very hard for me to do that because I was the only person out there for a while. And as there were more, that felt good, for people to have choices and options and variety. And this is this one's take on it, and that's that one's spin on it. So I recognize that it's competition, but I also just see it as advancement and better and more. Somebody like Tracy Ellis Ross, Taraji P. Henson, coming into this space and doing it with their lens. Yeah, it's not competition to me.
Now we have Beyonce with Sacred.
Exactly.
It really is. We can have collaboration and competition, if you want to call it competition.
Absolutely.
Joan Vassos was one of my most emotional interviews. This is a local woman who found love after losing her husband of nearly 30 years. Her journey picked up again on national television as the Golden Bachelorette.
We had just been out, and I had seen that everybody in the restaurant was a couple. And we were talking about, it had been about 2 years since my late husband had passed. And I was saying, in my brain, I'm thinking, I need to get out there. I want somebody, and this could take a long time, and I'm not getting any younger, I'm not getting any better looking, I'm not getting any more fun. So now I need to put myself out there. Now is the time. My heart really wasn't in the same place, but my head was. And I looked around and I was like, how am I ever going to meet anybody? And my friend said, you're going to have to go on dating apps. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
I was about to say, that's the struggle bus.
Yeah.
I can speak to that.
I know. Anybody, no one, I have never heard anybody saying, oh, dating apps, what fun.
Right.
It's work. And I know it's really successful for a lot of people, but it's a lot of work. And I did do it. I went on and I was like, I'm going to lose my job. I spend so much time looking at my phone, trying to keep up with messages and being flirty and witty that I don't have time to actually live life.
Yeah, it is a full-time job.
Yeah. And I didn't like it at all. So I plopped down in my nice comfy chair in a little bit of a funk, like I'm never going to meet anybody. And there on the first commercial on The Bachelor, it was a regular Bachelor show, so we're taking casting calls for The Golden Bachelor. And
Get
I was
out
like,
of here.
It's the universe is speaking to me.
DC's Sylvia Traymore Morrison is often regarded as the first Black female impressionist. She was also one of the first Black women to write for Saturday Night Live. But breaking the color barrier in comedy nearly broke her spirit.
I found this other club in Midtown Manhattan. Oh, it was my safe place. I could go there. I got a standing ovation every week. And it was my home. It was everything I loved. I couldn't wait. I think it was Tuesday nights. I couldn't wait to get down there on Tuesday night. And this particular night, the owner comes out and he says, Sylvia, let me talk to you for a minute. So I go in his office and I'm thinking, oh my God, because I wasn't getting paid. I didn't make no money, none. My first pay was a Coca-Cola, okay? And so I go into his office, he comes in and he says, look, I'm gonna keep it straight. You stink. Your talent is, you're not talented. You need to find something else to do. And I'm sitting up here and I'm looking at this man like, I come here every week, I get a standing ovation every week. I said, but they give me the standing ovation. He said, Sylvia, you're a little colored girl. They feel sorry for you. Now, Marissa, when he said that, you got to remember, I'm by myself. None of my family's there. I don't know anybody. It's just me by myself walking the streets of New York City alone. And this man tells me I should find something else to do. And that because it was an all-white audience every week. And they absolutely stood up every week. As a matter of fact, one couple came to the door and they said, is the colored girl here this week? And, yes, she's here this year. She said, oh, that's her. So they would come to see me. But he said, no, they feel sorry for you. I can't tell you what that did to my soul. I can't tell you the depth of this is all I got. This is all I got. God gave me this gift, and I give it to y'all every week. Now you're telling me that I stink?
Because of the color of my skin.
Because of the color of my skin. That's exactly what it was.
Terry Christine is an intuitive energy healer and a psychic medium. She said she nearly lost her life after an accident when she was just a kid. But through that and other challenges, she found her spiritual calling.
Others may not have been able to get to that space for you. And I want to be that one to help you. Because if you're going through life and you can't find your end result, hello, I can help you to lift you into that empowering space. And so, yeah, what I had to experience is, I had some negative stuff that I had to deal with. I had some childhood limiting beliefs that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't her, and I have to work harder than everyone else to feel like I have to run through the fire in order to say I did it, because a lot of us do create that based on the childhood stuff that we were experiencing. Now, I want to say, Marissa, it's not about the emotional or physical abuse that some may have experienced, because others may not have experienced that. And they can say, well, I don't have that. I've had good parents. However, I've had a woman who had the most perfect dad, but she was sabotaging her relationships every time she moved into one, because she would say, oh, you don't really mean that, or you don't call me enough when he calls her every hour. Because she was trying to recreate that unconditional love the father was giving her endlessly, and she was trying to put that feeling together, and she couldn't. And so she was sabotaging those relationships by saying, you're not giving me enough, when they really were. So I was able to shift that to say, first off, you are enough, my love. and to say that you are receiving enough, that you just have to allow yourself to say, this is really good enough, that it is empowering me to feel that I can receive this and more.
Finally, belief in yourself benefits business. I learned that from corporate executive and author Derek Lewis.
I never felt imposter syndrome because I always thought the people who got the opportunities were the imposters. I was the one who always had to work harder and longer for every inch of an opportunity. But for those who are dealing with imposter syndrome, what words of advice do you have for them in terms of believing in their own strengths, their own confidence, and what they bring to the table?
Well, it's a great question. That's where I went back to the 3 Bs, right?
Yeah.
This notion that really, truly embraces this framework of betting on yourself, believing in yourself, and being yourself. And so betting on yourself is you are the bet. You can't deliver for a team, you can't deliver for a company, you can't deliver for customers if you're not the best version of yourself. So you should always be investing in yourself to get better and leveling up. And so don't take for granted things that come your way, that there's a process where you stop, where I've been promoted now, so now I need to stop getting better, or I need to get complacent. I keep this leveling up process near and dear to my heart each and every single day, even to now. I can still get better. I'm looking to get better. No matter what the accomplishments are, there's always room to grow. Believe in yourself. I mean, you have to take some risk, right? Life's all about taking risks. But I look at it as opportunity. A lot of people talk about risk. I look at it as opportunity. I'm not going to do something I don't think I can deliver. It's a risk only if I think I can't deliver it. So if I don't think I can deliver it, I'm not going to do it. But if I think I can do it, and I know I can do it, if I'm going to lean in, everything I lean into, I deliver.
These were just snippets from dozens of conversations I've had over the last year. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for making Motivation with Marissa a success. I'm Marissa Mitchell. You can find all episodes on Fox Local. Stay motivated.